Greetings, viewers. This is King Echu from Southern Cameroon and Bozonia. This is a Pan African platform. Please like, share, and subscribe. I want to talk about Meghan Markle and Daniel Kaluuya. And the reason why I want to talk about these two particular people because it has to do with racism. We all know what happened on Oprah Winfrey show with Meghan Markle and Harry as they open up about racism, jealousy among royal family. But I'm trying to compare two individuals with a strong voice in the public, Meghan Markle and Kaluuya. When Meghan Markle opened up about racism, Daniel Kaluuya was asked a question about racism after his um, interview with the new movie that is coming up that he acted in, which has to do with Black Panther, um, about Fred Fred Hampton, who was killed, who was assassinated by FBI and Chicago police in 1969. Daniel Kaluuya played Fred Hampton, and he was asked about racism in the United States. As you know, Daniel Kaluuya is from UK, but he's an actor playing movies in the United States. And Meghan Markle is married to UK, married to the prince who is from the UK. You know, racism in the United States and racism in UK are pretty much intertwined, interconnected. And since these two people were asked about pretty much about racism, or at least had to do with racism, because we know Meghan Markle opened up about racism in the royal family in the United Kingdom. And you know, the United Kingdom colonized and also contributed to slavery, taking out Africans from the continent and spreading them pretty much around the world for slavery. And Meghan Markle, who's a black lady, is married to Henry, and she was open up about racism in a marital home that has to do with her extended family. And she opened it pretty much. She said exactly what she wanted to say. She didn't shy away from it. But when Daniel Kaluuya was asked about racism after acting a movie based on somebody's life that fought against racism, fought for the liberty and freedom for Black people, fought for the human rights of Black people in the United States, and was killed for it. Daniel Kaluuya refused, denied, or at least he shied away from answering about racism because he said, "I'm a humanist who is a black man playing an actor who's playing a movie or being an actor. So why do they have to ask him about racism?" You see, if Meghan Markle didn't open up or at least didn't talk about racism in the UK, how would it look like? Because Daniel Kaluuya was pretty much shying away from asking about racism that is happening in the United States. But Meghan Markle opened up about racism. You see, this is two powerful people in the black community. One is telling the world how she has to deal with racism in the family that she's married to, which is a very powerful family that contributed to slavery and colonization to black people, which perpetuates racism. Because racism, colonization, and slavery is all interconnected. It's all intertwined. It's all part of it. The reason why Black people continue speaking about racism is because it has to do with what British people did, with what the royal family did to many African countries, 19 African countries, which they still have strong connection to, which they still do business that enrich them till today. 19 countries that are part of the Commonwealth in Africa, and the royal family benefit due to the fact that they colonize 19 countries, due to the fact that they colonize people in part of the continent of Africa. And the God for Prince Charles, the God for Prince William to say that the royal family is not racist, which why the royal family is the epicenter of racism. They push racism across the world when they decided to colonize the continent of Africa, when they decided to colonize and enslave African people and spread around the world. For Prince William to say that the royal family is not racist, and why saying that there are Black people who are working directly under him, thinking that it's actually a good thing. Meanwhile, it also shows the racism, because for him, he think that saying that the royal family is not racist in front of the camera, in front of people, while Black people are working under him. For him, I think he thinks that, oh, people will buy that, oh, they're not racist. Meanwhile, that's actually a show. The fact that he's having Black people working for him shows that he's um, the royal family, which Prince William is part of, is racist. They spread colonization and spread slavery all over the world. Took Africans from Africa and spread over the world. They did that. So Prince William cannot say that, oh, the royal family is not racist. It is racist, and which is why Meghan Markle went through all that. Because when you're talking about how dark the child is gonna look like, and the fact that, oh, they don't want the child to have a title as a prince because of the darkness, that's racism. And there's much more that is not being said, much more. But the fact is this: the royal family is racist, and it was great that Meghan Markle had to open up, because many Black people in the world, especially in interracial marriages, face racism and discrimination. You see, some Black people think that if you married with a different race, you will reduce, or you will not see racism. But that's a lie. The more Black people get married to interracial marriages, the more they see racism in the world. It is exposed, it's right there in your face. Racism will never end, especially when the United Kingdom, especially when the royal family controls 19 countries in Africa through the Commonwealth system that they created because they colonized African people. And the God for Prince William to say that the royal family is not racist. The royal family is the epicenter of racism. They created racism and pushed it across the world when they colonized Africa with their counterpart, with France. France controls 15 countries in Africa. Many of those countries are fighting against the government because of the wealth that France sucks out of Africa. As a matter of fact, the United Kingdom continues their racist arrogancy towards African people through the Commonwealth, which is why it was easier for the United Kingdom to break away from Europe, because they know they have control over 19 countries in Africa. They have control over India. And they do business there that benefit them. Just like how France doesn't want West Africa to have its own currency without having control over the currency of West Africa, which is why the whole West African currency had to be put on hold because of France, because of their racist act towards African people, the fact that they don't want to see Africa grow without them having control over African countries. As a matter of fact, all the 19 countries that are under the Commonwealth need to leave the Commonwealth, because it is slavery, it is neo-colonization, it is control of the growth of African countries. Because they, when they came to Africa, they came for the resources. They came to control the resources. After colonization was over, they found another method to control Africa through the Commonwealth, through the Francophonie system. And till today, many African countries can progress because all their resources is being sucked by either British or the United Kingdom or by France or any other European nation. As a matter of fact, it got to a point where even Piers Morgan stormed off his own show after being called out for the Meghan Markle comment. You know, LGBTQ, the new power system, has been trying to take down Piers Morgan for so long, trying to make him to quit from his show, trying to get him fired, but they didn't succeed. But it was because of racism towards uh, Meghan Markle that got him to stomp off his own show when his co-host called him out on it. In 2013, the former president Yaya from what is this small country in forgotten country. Anyway, the former president in President Yaya withdraw from the Commonwealth on the argument that it is a neo-colonial institution, and it is a neo-colonial institution that British or the United Kingdom, the royal family, created so that it could benefit them, they can get enriched. And they think that when they hire more black people within them to show that black people are working under them means that they are not racist, but it is the epicenter of racism. It is the epicenter of racism. They took racism to another level, but they think that the royal family think that they are not racist. Interracial marriages cannot solve racism, will never solve racism, but exposes the height of racism. There was a question that was asked: is the Commonwealth a uh, colonial legacy or a strategic business partnership for African states? The the Commonwealth, it is a colonial legacy. It is a strategic business, not for the African states, but for the United Kingdom, but for the royal family, so that they could benefit through that strategic um, business. The strategic business is not to benefit the Commonwealth countries, the African Commonwealth countries, but to benefit the United Kingdom, to benefit the royal family, to enrich themselves, because they know they need the resources that is available in Africa. And so long as they have this symbiotic relationship with the Commonwealth countries in Africa, they will be able to benefit from it. But Africans must rise and realize that we can still do business with United Kingdom, but we shouldn't be under the Commonwealth. We can still do business with France, but we shouldn't be under the Francophonie institution that is controlled by France. All French African nations need to leave the the Francophonie institution. All the Commonwealth countries in Africa need to leave the Commonwealth because they are only using us to benefit themselves, and that is racism. You know, there is a hierarchy in humanity. People, when they have big occasions like the Grammys that just happened, they will say, "Oh, we are all humans. We're gathering to to commemorate or to celebrate the humanity of great artists and what's not." But the fact is this: when it comes to humanity, there is a hierarchy in humanity. When it comes to humanity, there is an upper echelons in humanity and a lower echelons. When it comes to humanity, there are those that are superior and those that they look as inferior. And when it comes to the superior, you know who are the superior. Those who colonize Africa, those who neo-colonize, who continue to neo-colonize Africa, those who continue to use Africa through the Commonwealth system, control Africa, those who control Africa through the Francophonie institution. Those are this those are the superior humanity. Those are considered superior humanity. And they may not say it, or they may say it sometimes, but they know they are superior, which is why they control many African nations, and which is why they use racism. They need our resources, but they still hate us. They need our resources, but they see us as inferior. They will marry you and they still look down on you as a lesser human being. It's not going to change. Those who think that it's going to change, it's not going to change. There's a hierarchy in humanity. Like it or not, that's just the truth. And in that hierarchy, whites or Europeans or Westerners, the Western world, are the top of the hierarchy of humanity. And you may have Asians and Arabs, India, Latino, but at the bottom of it, it doesn't matter if you're black in the United States, black in Europe, black wherever else, you're at the bottom. You might be a Grammy winning award artist. You might be married to a prince in UK. Like Markle is married to Harry. You can be the best basketball player, the best soccer player. Look at the soccer players, the African soccer players who are playing in Europe still have to face racism. My, the reason why Dr. Umar Johnson actually called Daniel Kaluuya was the fact that he played a hero who fought and gave his life for black people fighting against racism and was assassinated. And when he was asked about racism, that Black people are facing now through police killings, through the systemic racism. He shied away from it. He said, I'm just an actor, just a humanist who just happened to be a black. Why are you asking me about racism? They're asking you about racism because racism is hard. Hard in the sense that many black people are being killed in the world for it. Many black people are being systematically, um, many black people are being systematically fell through the racism. But you shied away, Daniel Kaluuya. You didn't answer the question properly, and you just want to say you are just uh, a humanist who just happen to be black. Nah, black is who you are. Yes, you're an actor, but you're black. And when you get to a position where people look up to you, you have to act accordingly. Africans have to, but blacks have to stop thinking that, oh, if I say something that has to do with racism, you'll be kicked out or you lose your position. But you're there, and many other people, other blacks who are trying to come up, go through racism, discrimination. They feel dead, and they need somebody who is considered a leader to speak up, especially in a position like you, Daniel Kaluuya, one of the greatest actors, black actors in the world. But you shied away from it. But the fact that it was a woman who was bold enough to speak up to power, the royal family in UK is a very powerful institution, and many people are coming for her because she spoke up against an institution that she's not supposed to, an institution that does whatever they want to do to benefit them. But we must speak up to power, even if when we are scared. Black humanity is at the bottom, but we must rise. And in order to rise, we must be bold enough to speak to power. Pan Africanism is the way forward. And the more black people realize that and understand that the fact that you marry in an interracial marriage does not mean that racism will go away. It will never go away until we fight against it and have the power to control such act. We need the power, and the only power that you need is a pan-African power. You could get married into a powerful institution as the royal family. You will still go through racism. You will marry to other races. You will still go through racism. It's not going to stop. And the only way to have control over it is to have a powerful institution that speak up against racism. This is King H.